So no speech from Senator J.D. Vance just yet. The former president, though, choosing him as his running mate. What will he add to the ticket? Anthony's Washington correspondent is at the Republican National Convention. Jack, you there? What's the latest?
Hey, good afternoon. Well, we just saw that Ohio Senator J.D. Vance was picked as Trump's running mate here, and he received a lot of support. We saw Michael Whatley, the RNC chair, giving him full support. We also saw House Speaker Mike Johnson there giving his full support for the nomination there. After the announcement, Biden came out and said, in a response to a reporter's question what he thinks about the pick, he said that J.D. Vance is a clone of Trump on the policies. Now, Trump's classified documents case was another big news here today. It was thrown out by Judge Eileen Cannon. Special counsel Jack Smith was determined to be improperly appointed as, according to the Supreme Court's testimony there. A major theme of today's RNC is the economy and how people are suffering under inflation. That has been a main drawing theme of day one here. Trump arrived in Milwaukee last night after being in Bedminster at his golf resort where he was playing golf right after the incident, the day after in Pennsylvania when he was shot in the ear in an attempted assassination. One person at his rally died and two were injured, as we remember. And Trump yesterday calling for unity and putting politics aside, and so did President Biden. He was also calling for unity, calling for a full investigation into that matter, and also condemning the attack as well. Biden calling for unity, Trump calling for unity, Mike Johnson also calling for an investigation into the incident, saying that Congress will launch a full investigation. Now, the RNC is the biggest Republican event of the year, and Milwaukee, keep in mind, is a blue city inside of a swing state. It's a very important place here. Today, Trump has been formally nominated along with J.D. Vance for the ticket. Now, this nomination is, of course, more for show. He won the primaries, Trump, so that's what really matters. Still, though, this event is drawing 50,000 people to this small town. Secret Service and local law enforcement had said that they were not changing any of their security measures as they're already at the highest level. No, there are large counter-protests taking place outside, not right outside, as they're not allowed to be taking place right outside the RNC. There are designated areas with speaker podiums where these protests have been taking place. And speakers here included House Speaker Mike Johnson, as we've heard. We also heard from many of Trump's family members. Will also, in this entire event, we'll hear from TV celebrities like Tucker Carlson, Vivek Ramaswamy, and we heard from many ordinary citizens about how the economy is impacting their lives. During the day, we've brought you live, in-depth coverage. We'll continue to do so as this carries on all throughout the next 4 days, and we'll have a special live coverage starting at 5 Central Time and 6 Eastern right here on NTD. And the Republican Party's new platform includes many different things, as well like a missile defense system over the U.S., as well as mass deportations of illegal immigration and tax cuts. So we have a lot to look forward to in these next 4 days. Back to you.
NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley. Jack, thank you. And as Jack mentioned, former President Trump getting a win today in the courtroom. Today, the judge overseeing his classified documents trial dismissed the case. She ruled that the Department of Justice unlawfully appointed and funded special counsel Jack Smith. Trump's legal team filed this motion to dismiss nearly 1 month ago. Judge Eileen Cannon ruled that the Constitution's appointment clause does not allow the DOJ to appoint officers without congressional approval. The DOJ is expected to appeal the ruling, but the lengthy process makes it highly unlikely that Trump could be tried before the election. Trump responded to the news by urging the judges in Georgia, D.C., and New York to dismiss other cases against him. Now, Judge Cannon's ruling differs from that of other judges who were presented with the same argument. Cannon wrote in her ruling that, quote, the executive branch's growing comfort in appointing regulatory special counsels in the more recent era has followed an ad hoc pattern with little judicial scrutiny. Special Counsel Smith will still be allowed to act as the prosecutor in the January 6th related case against Trump in Washington, D.C., which is in a different jurisdiction. And following the assassination attempt on former President Trump on Saturday, the FBI is investigating what motive the 20-year-old suspected shooter may have had. Our next guest recounts the moments during and after that shocking moment. Matt Code joins us live now to tell us what he witnessed at the scene, where he was just 15 feet away from former President Trump. Now, incredible to think, Matt, you were 15 feet to the right when the shooting happened. Walk us through how things played out for you.
First of all, thank you for having me on. I'd gotten the privilege and the honor to speak at President Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, a few minutes before he spoke, of course, and gotten the honor of meeting President Trump backstage. Now, we're all seated down close to the stage, probably about 15 feet, maybe 20 feet to the right of where President Trump was at the podium. I remember hearing the gunshots over my right shoulder. Of course, one shot and then a pause and then several shots, and there was screaming. At first, I think we all wondered, what was that? And then as our minds raced, trying to figure out the answer, we all realized they were gunshots. And then, of course, there was a lot of screaming and chaos and people yelling, and rightfully so. And I remember hearing someone up in the stands yell, "He's been shot," or "Someone's been shot. We need help." And by the time I turned, I noticed that they were just waving people up into the stands, looking for anyone to help them. Before I had turned that direction, I had turned back towards the stage, and I saw Secret Service cover President Trump in their protective way very quickly. And of course, then I turned back to the bleachers where the retired firefighter had been shot. And so it took me just a few seconds to get climbed over the fence and get up into the bleachers. And some people had already made it up there to help him before. So I don't know, just a lot of chaos, a lot of shock, a lot of, I can't believe this is happening.
How did you feel when the former president stood up and you realized he was safe?
Relieved. Relieved. It was still a chaotic scene. And I did not see President Trump stand up. I did not see his Secret Service detail, with him standing up. But I remember as I was turning back to the stage and looking, because that was our fear. That was every American's fear, I should hope. I wanted to make sure that President Trump was alive and okay. But I remember hearing the crowd roar, and it was an excited roar. It was a happy roar. And I turned back about that time after they had started roaring and saw him and the Secret Service detail standing up. And it's a relief for every American to know that President Trump is alive and okay.
The crowd seemed unusually calm, even as the shots were being fired and the president hit the deck. What was the reason for that?
I'm certainly no expert on why people do things. But whenever the sound started, I remember we all heard I remember hearing the gunshots, the first one, and then the pause, and then the several after that. And my mind immediately thought gunfire. I hear that other people thought it might be fireworks. I've also heard that there are some gun experts who believe it sounded like something other. So I'm no expert. I certainly don't want to put words in the experts' mouths. But maybe a lot of people were a lot like me and just never thought that a shooter would be close enough and within line of sight of the President of the United States.
These are the big questions. How about on you? Personally, what kind of impression has this left on you?
I've got a whole lot of mixed emotions about Saturday. First of all, it is the honor of a lifetime to get to meet President Trump. And let me tell you what, I just think every single American would be blessed by the opportunity to meet him and to talk with him and to shake his hand. He's such a warm, kind, friendly, and very humble man. Like, he really does care about American workers and families. Afterwards, obviously a lot of shock, a lot of questions. I don't want to be one of those pundits who thinks that I know more than other people. A lot of us are just simply wondering, how did a shooter get close enough to even get off one shot, much less multiple shots at the President of the United States? No matter which party he or she is from, we always want the office of the President of the United States protected.
It's been very surreal. Matt Code, we appreciate it. Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate you having me on. God bless you all.
And President Trump expresses his gratitude for surviving the attempt on his life, while much of the nation is still at a loss for words over it. Indeed, Sam Wong has the story.
Take a look at what happened.
It's a moment that left much of the country in disbelief. In a New York Post interview, former President Trump expressed his gratitude after surviving an assassination attempt. Speaking gratefully and at times defiant, Trump described the incident a very surreal experience and said that he's not supposed to be here. After a round of gunshots at a Saturday rally in Pennsylvania, Trump was quickly shielded by Secret Service agents and security personnel. The former president said the bullet grazed his ear as he slightly turned his head sideways. With blood on his face, Trump stood defiant, raising his fist and shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." The FBI said the gunman was identified as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He reportedly opened fire on a rooftop of a nearby building just 130 yards away from the podium. Secret Service killed Crooks at the scene after the shooting. But prior to the incident, several rally attendees said they noticed a man climbing to the roof. According to law enforcement officials, an officer approached Crooks but soon retreated after the suspect pointed his rifle at him. The shooter's motive remains unclear as the FBI continues to investigate. Besides the former president, the shooting took the life of a 50-year-old firefighter, Corey Compertor. 2 other men were rushed to the hospital in critical condition, where they remain as of Monday. Strong words against political violence are pouring in from world leaders, as well as both political parties. The White House condemned the acts of violence while expressing condolences for the lives lost at the rally.
We must remember that while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We are fellow Americans, and we must stand together.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence, ever. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down.
Many Americans are still at a loss for words.
Very shocked that would happen in this country, that they would allow such a thing to happen in this country.
Even if you have these strong political views, there is collateral damage, and that's just something that I think is not okay.
Now, all eyes are on the Republican National Convention in the city of Milwaukee, where Trump is, as local officials work to reassure the public about safety. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Sam Wong, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.